What is up, everybody? It's your boy Ro. Okay, so I'm here with my boy YGO fresh off the press. We're gonna be doing the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Chill live stream. We're just talking chill, uncut, raw. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free. Super chat questions I always answer during the stream. If you don't want to super chat for your question, that's fine. You can always get your questions at the end of the stream for an open Q&A. So Jay, I'm gonna just shoot straight into the topic. So man, why did you get into Yu-Gi-Oh? Or how did you get into Yu-Gi-Oh, rather?
Yeah, that's a great question, bro. First of all, thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure, honestly.
Of course.
Met you recently at YCS Houston and also saw V there. Shout out to V. You guys are great people. We just recently had the collab in our channel. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you go check that out on my channel as well. But again, appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh, man, I've hey, when it first started, that's when I first started too. I was a little kid. I lived in New York back then, and the cousins were into Pokemon and stuff like that at first, and at school and things of that nature. But then they switched. They switched to this new thing called Yu-Gi-Oh. And at first, usually is either the anime. For me, it wasn't. Like 95% of people is the anime. Till this day, I actually haven't seen the full thing,
Really?
which
Okay.
is sad, honestly, in a way. But I'm gonna pick it up soon, because the season one is my favorite. Though I've seen a couple of good episodes of that, and I really enjoy it. But for me, it was just the cousins, the family, the friends. They used to play, back home, and they got me into it. Hey, this is Yu-Gi-Oh. This is the way you play. So it was the playability that got to me, and then we obviously wanted to get access to the cardboard. When we were little, it was rough because we didn't, as kids, you don't have your own money and you have to depend on
Right.
parents and things of that nature. So, but yeah, it was fun, man. From there on out, just fell in love with the game. I'm just try to get, the BLSs back in the day, Chaos Emperors, Raigeki, Pot of Greed, Grace, all those iconic Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It was always a struggle, but Jinzos of the world, and we just went on from there, just trying to get those cards and playing, going to tournaments back then, and just living the experience. So that's really like where my love came from. Just starting early, starting in the early days, family and friends, going to tournaments and just growing the love from there. So there's where it came from there for me. Yeah.
Okay, so were your cousins older than you when they were playing, or you guys around the same age?
That's a great question. Yeah, it was around the same age. We were all
Okay.
around the same age. I used to go visit and they would be playing, and the interest just came from there. First it was Pokemon though. Like
Okay.
first it was Pokemon at school and stuff, was the talk of the town. But then Yu-Gi-Oh came out of nowhere and it was the new kid on the block per se,
New
and
kid
then
on the
like
block. Right.
everyone rushed to that. And then ever since, I still love Pokemon. I enjoy it very casually. I don't play it, but I'm an investor, a casual light investor into Pokemon because that market, does pretty good moves in itself. But my thing has been Yu-Gi-Oh ever since. So
Okay. And when you did Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, I know you do the market watch stuff now. Were you more of like a vendor back in the day as well, or you just enjoying the game, just enjoy the game, or did you always have like a hustle mentality when it came to the game?
that's a great question. I mean, for me, being a kid, I wasn't really like. I always loved trading though. Like it's always been my personal passion. You know what I mean? Just being able to trade. I always saw it as such, trading card game. Right now, I always say this is like a PCG, a playing card game, and it's fine. Most people like to play the competitive
Right.
scene, and that's what Yu-Gi-Oh, really emphasizes, just competitive and going to events and going to tournaments and all that. Me, I've just always loved the trading aspect of it. Like before as kids, it was hard to get cards. So you had to trade your way to cards that you needed to get access to.
Right.
And I think that ability just always stayed with me, in a sense. But of course, I was more shy back then. And, I'm more of even though it might not seem like I'm an introvert. So,
Same. I get
it
it.
was hard, talking to people and things of that nature. But then you start growing up and you start making things happen. So that's why I do market watches, because I've always loved trading and always love to stay informed and know the prices of the cards. And, should I be picking this up now if I see it in another trade binder to flip for something else that I might want in the future? And, that's always been the mindset. So.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So when it came to trading, like, what's your most memorable trade from when you were a kid? Like, what was the chase card for you when you was a kid? I remember me growing up, it was like Injection Fairy Lily, Genzo.
That's a great
Like,
card.
what was the ones for you that was like you were just I gotta get it when you get I gotta trade it by any means necessary.
Nah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so like I told, like my favorite, format, whatever is GOAT. Like I'm a
Okay.
boomer, GOAT is like the pinnacle of Yu-Gi-Oh for me in my brain, because growing up, like I said a little bit earlier, like BLS, that was the end all be all. That was the one card that you had to like just try and have. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't win, you would lose. It was, like the staples today in a way. So it was, BLS, Jinzo. I always remember it used to be such iconic just to shut down trash back in the day. So really, if I'd have to say like BLS and Jinzo competitively, and then Chaos
Okay.
Emperor, it got banned. But then still that nostalgia, the collectability aspect of it, I'd say those three cards. So Envoy the End, Jinzo, and BLS,
So
honestly.
just all those like the OG chaos format
Yeah,
cards. So did
yeah,
you start playing around chaos format? I know you said you got into it because your cousin you didn't watch the anime, but
yeah,
or
yeah.
did you
Didn't
start
watch.
playing like at the beginning, the very beginning?
No, I started playing pre-ban. There was no ban list. I started
Okay.
playing like the early formats with Blue Eyes and all that stuff, but not competitively though. It was more like learning the game, playing with the cousins.
Kitchen table playing.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Learning, not going to stores back then and stuff like that. Also there was a lot of fake cards back then. That's something that people don't talk much about, but
Yeah.
especially in New York, like the hustles, the Chinatown and the Chinese people, like they had a lot of like I owned a lot of fake cards I didn't know back then. As a kid, you're like, oh snaps, I got this. You just get it from a store. You didn't know, you don't know
Right.
much. You're a kid, you're naive, so that was also affected the experience in the sense, but yeah, no, it was super fun back then. I always started, I played early since the early days, but then the competitive scene really started, Go format. That's that format around 04, 05. I think I played 04 like with Yada,
Okay. So
Warasu
y'all
and the
had a lot of format.
combo,
Okay.
yeah, a lot and all that stuff. So good old days as a kid. Again, nowadays I get it too slow, things of that nature, but GOAT for me is the GOAT. You know what I mean? So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So since you into market watches and everything, have you? So when did you start doing the vending as far as the market watching? Like, did it start when you were like a teenager during the Go From, or did you quit and do it later as an adult?
That's a great question. Me, I actually, I quit Yu-Gi-Oh for like 10 years,
Okay.
because I lived in the DR. I grew up in the Dominican Republic. I'm Dominican. So I went there to an English school. My mom moved me out in 98 from New York, and then just grew down there ever since until I was in my 20s and then moved back here to Orlando, Florida. So those years in DR was rough Yu-Gi-Oh wise because, third world country. It's crazy. They host Nats. I can't wait to one day go. That's going to be a pretty
Oh,
unique
nice.
experience, at least for me, but
Yeah,
we'll
for
see down
sure.
the line.
Down your
Um,
motherland.
yeah, 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 for sure. I can't wait. But yeah, back in the day, early 2000, like no Yu-Gi-Oh down there, so it was rough for me, man. Like just not having access to Yu-Gi-Oh. I only had access when I used to visit Puerto Rico, which was really close by. My dad used to live there. So I
Okay.
used to go in the summers. And there's like it's called Plaza Las Americas, always jam packed. Like it was a spot, man. A
Was that
lot of
like the
people.
shopping mall?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's the
I
shopping
went. I,
mall
went, I
in
went- I think I went to that mall when I was a
yeah,
kid.
in
Yeah.
San Juan, bro. That was
Yep.
lit. Like back then, oh
That's a nice.
four, oh five. Ooh,
And I went there
man.
in like think yeah, about 05. They had a nice little arcade. I bought me a Nintendo
Yeah,
DS. Yeah, it
yeah,
was pretty
yeah.
dope.
That was the spot. Like I'm talking about, like like, hey, they go down. In PR, they know how to run some events. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So at
Yeah.
least back in the day, even more. Like so they were pretty, and the scene, the Yu-Gi-Oh scene, the competitive scene. PR's PR. People might not think so. They should do a YCS there one. Shh. You imagine YCS Puerto
Oh man,
Rico?
that'd
Bro,
be
Konami
nice. Watch this
slacking,
Puerto.
man.
Oh man,
Man, hey, so
I'm hitting
much
the clubs
potential,
for
but
all that.
nah, but
Hell,
yeah,
no.
that was the only exposure that I got was once a year, maybe a month or two when I went to visit Pops out there to PR. And then but then it was rough for those 10 years. But then I moved back over here, in 2015, and that's when everything started. I picked up Light Sworns. I'm like, yo, I want to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh. And then just I started watching V. We had him on the channel,
Okay.
2015, 2016. Also House of Champs. I give everyone their props. It is
Of
what it
course.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Started watching his content and V just them too, just grinding, connecting again with the passion that I had, with trading. You know what I mean? And learning the markets and things of that nature. And then like 2 years ago, I'm like, I started a crypto channel, didn't really go too well. Channel wise, it's felt saturated, and crypto's pretty serious. People usually are serious because it's their money and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I'm like, damn, I want to take that and apply it to Yu-Gi-Oh because it's still money, like price
Yeah.
changes and pick up, buy and sell, but people see it more like a hobby, and they want to make like some side money with their hobby and things of that nature. So that's what, I took inspiration from crypto. That's why I'm always talking about the charts. I say we do it different, and yeah, that's where the passion came from, like market watches and things of that nature. Yeah.
Okay. So w- I know that's the passion, but why market watch? Is it something that you? Okay. So I know you like the crypto, but
Yes.
why market watches? It's because I know you got inspired by V and then House of Champs, of course, both great channels. But is it just something you like? You know what? I like the idea of buying and selling. I want to get into this morally as a career, like a side hustle. Like, why do you do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, it's just it all comes back to trading. It all
Okay.
comes back to trading. Everything. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, I see it two main ways. There's Yu-Gi-Oh is a niche, but then there's sub niches. And one of the two main ones, obviously, one is the competitive niche, and then the
Okay.
other one is the trading. Niche or vending, trading. Like it's huge. When I go to events, and I was in Houston, while V was smacking kids left and right, and Rogue Hero
Facts.
was day twoing, there
Thank you.
was a
Thank you.
bunch of us out there that we could care less about playing. We were just vending, hustling, trading on the floor, and making things happen. And that's what I've noticed more that the community doesn't talk about. There's a lot of people that I see that go to events, and they're the same people. So they're like me. I've understood there's a crowd there. There's a sub niche of people that they enjoy the game. They have their pet decks. Me building Odeon just to have access to it. True Dracos, the king is back. I love it. I'll build the deck. I'll have it. But it's just not our cup of tea to the sense of our priority. Sure, if Rogue says, yo, sit down, Jay, we see us in person, let's do it. Hell yeah, I love,
Right.
hey, let's get it. But, we don't have that like passion to that level. Yo, let's 1,500 players, let's 2 days duel and let's get it. No, like I prefer that's all good and well. Let me go get this money over here in the sense of trades and things of that nature. Let me
That's
get
the
the
New York
green.
in you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, I always say on the channel, people are addicted to the brown or to the green. I'm addicted more to the green, to that money. Most people is to the brown. And me too, in a way, I like, picking up cards and stuff. But if I got to move it, the green comes first. So that's
Ain't
just
nothing, ain't
always
nothing
been,
wrong with that,
yeah,
man.
that's
If
always
it ain't
been
making
just,
money, it ain't making sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's always been like my mindset. I don't know why. It's just since the early days, I always appreciated trading. Just it's a trading card game, like always, even above playing. Of course, usually you want to trade to play. So I understand that. But then as you grow up, you're like, yo, this is making, like you said, sense money wise. So that's where it really came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, speaking of trading, like, have you ever like feel free to not answer this if you want to. Have you ever had like flack from personal family or relatives about trading Yu-Gi-Oh on a serious level? Because I know me personally and people I know, you kind of get looked at as like, dude, focus on your real life. That's kid stuff. Like now that I'm older, and they don't really they know about the YouTube channel, but not so much. But
I
like
feel you.
I
Yeah, I
can
feel
still
you.
I can kind of tell they kind of like, okay, dude, get it together a little bit, but they don't know everything 100%. And the people who do know everything 100%, they don't get it, but they respect it. Like,
Yeah.
how is your take on like your personal life when it
Yeah.
comes to like doing Yu-Gi-Oh trading and just being an overall Yu-Gi-Oh player in your mid 30s?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Yeah, I have a daughter, I have a beautiful wife, they're the MVPs, I have a
Oh, nice.
family.
Okay.
And so again, you just have to find a balance. I believe as humans, we all need to have our own thing we're working on. For me as Yu-Gi-Oh, my wife could be something else, and for you is something else, and for family members, whatever they got going on. So making if you make money with it, people accept it more. That's just the mindset. Like
Facts.
if you have a hobby and you just spending and spending and spending, especially maybe as a family, like you have a wife or whatever, and then they're like, yo, why you spending all this money, this, that, and the third. But when the hobby you do makes money, if I go to a trip, be like, yo, wifey, hold on to this $100 bill for me. Here's, hey, my little daughter, here's a 20. I brought you this back from the event. They're happy. They're like, okay, he did his thing, but he brought that green back. So
Right.
say, and then with the channel's making some side money or whatever, like people understand, especially as adults. It's like, okay, that's just what he does. It doesn't matter if it's Yu-Gi-Oh or a card game. What matters is that he does what he loves, and then he makes money with it. So that's really like the approach, at least from my experience, on
That's
my
what's
end.
up, man. I know
Yeah,
a lot of people they get flack like a mother effer.
that's
Like I even
crazy. No.
know I ain't gonna say I know personally, but I've heard of some YouTubers, get flack from their family and they had to slow down on their YouTube channel to quote unquote follow a regular path in life.
Nah,
And it's
nah,
kind of
nah,
like
nah,
this
nah.
ain't back in the day. This is 2025. Like
Yeah, I
there's many
feel
different
you.
ways to get that money.
Yeah. No, I saw that one guy that divorced or whatever, like that the
Oh
community was talking
yeah.
about. So that's a perfect example, and that's sad, honestly. That any human, it could have been vice versa. If she was doing something, like hey, it's like live and let live. Even if you're married, you got to let people. It's all about doing what you love, bro. Like we can love multiple things in life, but there's always that one thing that you just love the most. Like me, I love crypto, I love basketball, I love gaming, and I love Yu-Gi-Oh. And for me, Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just the one I love the most. That doesn't mean that the other ones I don't, but it's the one I love the most, so I chose to focus on it. And the same, and when you have a family and stuff like that, like humans need something to stay entertained, to have purpose, to invest their time personally. If you're in a family, yes, you do things. I go out with my family, with my daughter and stuff, but at a personal level, you need that thing that keeps you going, gets you motivated, and that you just have that passion that you need to share with the world. So that's like my mindset all the time.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Good answers, bro. That's honestly what's up, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what are your honest thoughts on buyouts? Now, I know I know you mentioned before that you had some issues in the past with people saying you
Yeah,
caused buyouts.
yeah,
I always see Flack and Zodiac do say,
yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
my God, these Market Watch channel was causing
Hmm.
buyouts.
Hmm.
They're manipulating the market." What are
Yes,
your
good
honest thoughts on
question.
buyouts?
Great
And
question.
let me hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think they're great, honestly. This is my humble opinion. I'm gonna call it how it is. I think buyouts are great. I mean, you're supposed to be early. And if you're not, you're just making excuses for yourself. It is what it is. Some people don't like hearing the truth, and that's fine. Now, what I go against is being scummy, being a scalper, having a little group on the back end and be like, yo, we're gonna target this buyout. We're not gonna let anyone else know. We're gonna buy it out and we're gonna sell at these Billy Bob, like you don't do that. That's why me, when I talk about things, I tell the masses. I tell the masses, yo, I believe, that this card is a good time to pick up. And I explain the charts, I explain the fundamentals so that they could get in early because not everyone watches my channel. I'm still a small channel. So again, if you're watching, if you're hustling, you come in early, and then a fundamental event happens like a ban list or some kid tops with that deck or whatever, causing price appreciation, then you reap, those rewards because you put in the work, you watch the channel, you put in the time and the research. So again, when it's like that, I told, hey, if you missed the buyout, you weren't watching the channel or it just happens, that's on you. So again, buyouts, if you tell everyone, I don't see it scummy, there's nothing going on the back scenes and things of that nature. And at least in my case, I always say this at the beginning, I created my channel to let people know what I'm doing. That means I could own some of those cards sometimes. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm telling everyone what I'm always doing, so that they can do it as well. Now, if I wouldn't have my channel in a way, and I'm like just controlling, manipulating on the back end, then I understand. But that's the whole point. And I know it's counter in a way. It's like, yeah, because you're telling people, that means that you bought the card, and by telling people, the card is going to go up and you're going to sell. But the reasoning is the key. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a deal, it's a deal. If Mitsurugi a ritual at $10 is a great deal, I own one. I
Right.
saw it as a good deal. I'm like, guys, pick it up at 10 bones. If the card is 30s, 40s, 50s, what do you want me to do? To not sell? Like, no. Like, I'm telling you guys to get it in. And then I hear people in the comment section, Jay, thank you so much. Thanks to you. I came in at $10 and now I'm gonna move it for something else. And that's what we're creating here at the community. So I get it. It's a little bit delicate. You're gonna always have people, with their opinions. But at the end of the day, I choose to focus on the positive and on my community and just the feedback that they provide to me and positively impacting their lives.
No, that's what's up, man. I 100% agree with you. I'm a type of guy. I hate scalpers. I hate when things get bought
Sure.
out. I
Sure.
can't find Peruli at all. I still can't get Perulias. So it's kind of like,
Well, that was
you know,
actually you
I
caused that buyout. So
I know apparently, yeah. So and my buddy was like, "Yeah, man, I had them for you, but I moved them." I'm like, "Fuck."
you see
So I'm like, "Man, I
that.
should have kept my mouth shut." But at the end of the day, I respect it because, like, dude, people got to make money, and on top of that, ain't nothing you can do about it. Now, the only thing I don't like is like I said, the scalpers when you're trying to buy something. But if you're still able to buy a Yu-Gi-Oh set and pull that card, by all means, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Right, right, right,
It's
right.
not like you can't buy it. So it's kind of like, I'm 100% agreement with you. Like people, buyouts are going to happen regardless,
Sure.
whether if you're on YouTube or not. It's been happening since the olden days. Probably not as much, but
Right.
once people realize like, hey, there's a big market behind this. I know people literally who all they do is vend and they make pretty decent money off of it.
No,
So
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, because
it's
I
big
like
money in
now
Yu-Gi-Oh. It's
going
big
to the
money.
events. Like I've met some people that, yo, that I'm the market watcher, but vending is an art. Like they're beasts at it. You know what I mean? And they have experience. They know how to, move around and I just respect that. People, oh, vendors, backpack vendors, they want 50% of that. Then don't give it to them. It's
Right.
your choice at the end of the day. They're there for you. Some people, I don't care the percentage. I just want that green right now. I'm in a tight spot, and they're there for
Mm-hmm.
you as well. So it's all about vantage point perspective. Most, there's people, they're gonna choose to see the negative and everything, and that's fine. To each their own. I choose to focus on the positive and on my personal community, and then live with the results. It is going to be, it is what it is. So
Now, have you ever backpacked with it before, or do you just do like the online buying and selling?
most of the things, mostly I just sell my TCG player store, but going to
Okay.
the events, then you're in that world. If I'm at a
Do a
YCS,
little bit of trading.
yeah, yeah,
No selling and buying in advance. You know,
no,
just
no,
trading
no.
and
Of
stuff.
course, of course not. You can't sell or buy or sell on the floor, but you trade and then you come back home and you
Post it
sell
online
online
and do
and
it
you
the
take the
legit way.
profits. Yeah, so you find ways to get value, extract value from an event, and then come back home and reap the rewards. So that's always the mindset. That's always the mindset. Just going to those events. So now that I go more, again, I get to trade. Also when I go to locals or whatever, I just love it, man. It's just my passion. So yeah, yeah.
So as far as vending, so I notice it can kind of get a little dangerous for sometimes with backpack vendors. I mean, it's not as bad nowadays. I remember like mid 2010s, even early 2000s, backpack vendors used to get robbed a lot. Not probably not at like gunpoint or like
No,
knife
I feel
point, but
you.
like people like go on your bag, steal your cars. I remember one
Yeah,
time a dude. This is back when I used to do a little scummy stuff in my teenage years.
yeah. Right.
I stopped doing it though, but a dude wanted to hire me and my boys to like snatch a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. We weren't even playing Yu-Gi-Oh at this time, and we didn't even steal anymore. I'm talking about, I was like maybe 16 at the time, and he was like, "Man, this dude got a gold sark. The card's worth money. I'll pay you guys." And we literally contrived a whole plan to like snatch and
That's
steal some dude's
crazy.
deck at a regionals. No, at a YCS. I think it was a YCS. And we
Uh,
all was like, we didn't do it because I'm like, hold on, we ain't finna fucking get. We were like, bro, we gonna get our ass locked up doing that stupid
nah,
shit.
for
But like,
sure. I mean, yeah,
I
yo.
bring that story up to say, like, do you feel? When you're obviously, do you feel comfortable carrying your most valuable cards with you 24/7? What is the security measures you take? Like, how do you properly trade with people to make sure you don't get robbed and stolen from? Because it's a lot of people ain't gonna be bold and just try to like G check you and take your shit. Especially you. I don't think you the type of dude that let somebody try you like that.
For sure.
And you don't your demeanor don't give off like you don't give off a you can just take my shit demeanor. But
Right.
as far as like getting your shit stolen from you and people being slick with you, how do you protect yourself from like getting your stuff just like making sure your stuff ain't getting like you ain't getting ripped off?
No, that's a great question. I mean, like you said, back in the day, it was more of a bigger problem. Just because back in the
Yeah,
day
no
we were,
cameras either, so no camera phones. It was
yeah,
literally
yeah, there was no evidence, no way for you to, defend yourself or whatever. It was kind of harder back then, and then we were all younger too. So, like you
yeah,
said, when people are younger, you mentioned that story. You're more naive, you're more willing and able to do things. But as we all grow and the Yu-Gi-Oh community gets older, then we have our own money.
right.
We're family men. We have our jobs. We have access to money now that we didn't back then. So instead of you like actually thinking about, yo, should I go steal it? I'm gonna just go on TCG Play and buy this card, man. I don't got time for all that nonsense. So that's like mostly that's what I've noticed. And then I started traveling more like late last year, and at an event I've never had. Thankfully, I've never had anything happen to me. I just always I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh environment. Like I see cops at events and stuff. Like nowadays, it's pretty safe, man. I would say in general, yeah, you can have the occasional situations that happen here and there. There's gonna always it is human nature, but in general, like when I go to an event, I don't feel like I'm unsafe. Or of course, you do your due diligence. You stay near your binder at all times. Once you're done trading, I put it back in and lock, and close my backpack. And what I do, I have a little like a little when this type of bag is like when you go and you travel on a plane, like the luggage that you roll with it. So I'm
Right.
always rolling with it. I never leave it. It's not like a backpack that you might sit down, take it off, and then walk and forget about it. I'm always with my roll bag or luggage, whatever you call that. But yeah, so that helps me too, just to stay near my cards at all times. But I don't feel that worry, like yo, and like oh my god, I'm scared I'm gonna be robbed. Nah, I've always traveled, to many events since last year mainly. recently, and it's been great experiences, man. Most people are pretty cool, but of course, on the back end, of your brain, you have to keep in mind, like, yo, just always stay near your cards. Just
Yeah.
always keep it in mind when you're trading. Just focus on that. And sometimes when you go to events, there's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
you might be in a trade and someone else, yo, can I see that binder while you're trading with someone else? So just keeping those things in mind, of the importance of your cards. Always keeping it, your eyes to that your binder. Don't let no one take it away from you. Just common sense.
Yeah, I be trying to tell people. I made videos before. Like I'm like, man, don't leave your binder on the table and turn your back around. But some people they
Ah,
think that
yeah,
because it's Yu-Gi-Oh, they acting like they're at like a daycare or something. Where they
yeah.
can leave their stuff and everyone's friendly and they won't steal your shit.
Nah,
Like, bro, I
nah,
see these
yeah,
people stuff get stolen all the time till this day locally. So it's kind of like people, even though I know they say that we're all grown, but hey, these cars are $100 a pop for Fuwalos, and I didn't heard stories and been in circles even till this day so and so stole so and so's deck at X event, or so and so borrowed cars and sold their cars, and the cars never came back, and they paid them back. But it's just a lot of scummy shit I see going on in the world nowadays. And
yeah.
then a lot of the times too, what that people would do, they have a damaged card and you have a good condition one, they'll swap it in your binder. You might not catch them till later on that day. Like little different things, but people try to get one up on you. Like,
Yeah, no, thankfully it hasn't happened to me yet, and that sucks. That feeling sucks. When you run an event, you get back home, you're like, damn, bro, like where's that card I picked up? It's not
yeah,
here. That's terrible, bro. That
like
that
one
that's rough, man.
one thing that happened to me, I think it was Nats 2016. Now this could have been my fault. So I don't know if it was people I rode with or maybe I just left it. I got my shit stolen at locals. I had a binder, not expensive stuff. It was just like hobby league gadgets, a bunch of photos from my old Naruto team in it. And I just thought it was stuff I wanted to keep as memories mainly.
For sure.
And I thought about it one day. I'm like, where did my binder go? And I'm like, I couldn't find it. I'm like, I either left it in a hotel or someone stole it. So I'm just like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, that's horrible, bro. I mean, thankfully, if something happened, it was never that big. In
Okay.
my case, where I have like memories about it. But I can understand. You're dealing with people. There's a lot of people in one place. Anything can happen. And yeah, like I said, usually sense takes you far. Just being aware of your surroundings, of your trades, and yeah, that's like the mindset that you have when you tackle a big event. You're always near your stuff. You always use common sense. Always keep your binder by your side, and once you're done trading, just put him back in your backpack and have it near you at all times and live with the results.
Right. Cause I remember one time too, just to wrap this part up,
Yeah.
I was at Nationals, I think it was 20 something. I forgot. It was a while ago though. And I saw this dude, I think it was in like either Ohio or Tennessee. This dude was walking. And he's a younger guy, he tried to grab a dude's backpack off the back of his seat and just walk off. But he didn't
Yeah.
know his boy was sitting right there. And these are all like some big Samoan looking dudes, right? And this dude was like a preppy, yuppie type of dude.
Yeah, of
He tried
course.
to he tried to grab his backpack and just walk off all cool. His homie grabbed him by his collar, like, dude, you move, we're gonna whoop your ass. And they held him there by his collar until the cops came. They
That's
didn't want to beat him up
crazy.
and get banned.
No, of
And I
course, of
saw it
course.
live, and I'm like, where's my phone? I'm had like, I'm like,
Yeah,
get my phone now, being ignorant, trying to record it. And literally, by the time I got my phone out, because I couldn't find it, I was like, they finna whoop this dude. And I'm like, oh, this is come like right there, like yes, this is some good drama.
no, for
But
sure. You're like, yo, you're waiting for that first punch.
right.
But
So nothing happened though. They just helmed him up, and dude turned red. Dude, you see a dude get scared and turn red. His whole body turned red. He was like a paler kind of dude. He was like, oh shit, like he was gonna poop himself. So
yeah, I mean, the
I
thing
was
is, when
like,
you do those type of
and these
things,
are
you
big
never.
security guard looking dudes. They try to steal from. Like, dude, you're goofy.
Nah, I mean, that's the thing. You never think you're gonna get caught. Like when
Yeah.
you're going through that thought process, your brain is gonna only show the good way out. Oh, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna have this extra value. They're not gonna realize and all that. But when it turns south, you took the risk, and sometimes they literally got to pay the price in a sense. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. That there's wild stories throughout the years of people going through stuff like that. I mean, most Yu-Gi-Oh players, even though we see it thousands of people and stuff like at Houston or YCS or here in Orlando when YCS was fire. Like most people don't travel to events, and if they do, most people go to their locals, and that's about it.
Right.
But those that do, they need to learn. They need to be ready because those events, especially, I meet a lot of people. They come up to me, oh, it's my first YCS. Like when you don't know, and when there's thousands of people in one building, a lot could go on. You know what I mean? So So
And I
for
think
sure.
also too, like, because we grew up in a different generation, we're both the same age, our mid
Yeah,
thirties.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the younger kids, they grew up in a slightly softer generation, so they're not really conscious of people will steal from me in my face and be bold like that.
Yeah,
Versus
literally.
us, at least I grew up in Chicago, the West Side, which is the ghetto. So it's kind of like I was always cautious and known about people stealing and not to trust people 100%. And plus,
Yeah.
with me being a little bit of a scumbag myself in my preteen years up until like my early teen years, I kind of understand the sights of what people when people are about to do something. Like I had
Yeah.
somebody I know tried to steal my binder some years ago, hit his binder on top of my binder, the oldest trick in the book, and walk off. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? He, oh, my bad. And then he tried to do it two more times in different instances. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, can you stop? Like it got to the point where I'm like, bro, if he does this again, I'm gonna have to check this dude. I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
I can't.
I'm
I
trying to
got
be
you.
nice. I'm like, because he's
Yeah.
younger than me, but I'm like, bro, you're trying me. I'm not because I'm a YouTuber. Don't mean I'm a bitch. Like, chill
No,
out.
no, no,
Like,
no. Yeah, yeah. Like if you do it once, I got to take his word for it, even though it's the oldest trick in the
right.
book. But when you see it multiple times, then it's just straight up disrespect.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I agree with that.
what are the pros and cons of being a vendor? I know we kind of talked about that, like with a little bit, but like, what are your main pros and cons of vending, doing the market watches, things like that, and how you go about it?
Yeah, so the cons of I'm related to YouTube really at first. The cons, at least me, I'm in the sub niche of market watching, so I understand what I do. I understand the historical precedence of it. I understand the connotation, and especially in the Yu-Gi-Oh community and the Yu-Gi-Oh space, and most big Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube channels and most people in Yugi Twitter and everywhere have the misconception, in my humble opinion, of a lot of negative energy towards market watches. Like you said earlier, they just have an assumption market watches equal scalping, market watches equal scammers, market watches equals price manipulation. And because of them and talking about the cards, I have to buy them at more expensive prices instead of seeing it like, yo, watch the content and be early. Stop whining and complaining and all these excuses, man. If you don't put in the time and the work, then pay the price. Be a Billy
Yeah,
Bob. Be a Billy Bob. Like you can see in my background, just be a Billy Bob. That's it. If you don't put in the time and the work, people only think you need to put in the time and the work to play. Like you guys, you and V, wow, that collab that we recorded in yesterday's market watch,
it was
fire,
fun, bro.
man.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. You guys just the emphasis was the work that it takes.
Yeah,
The mentality, the time, dueling book matches, locals, and watching other content of even content creators that maybe you don't want to be seeing, and this and that. Those are called sacrifices that you make to stay ahead and be on top. The same with market watches, man. If you don't put in the time, if you don't watch a J, or you don't watch a Team Sakurasu or a House of Champs or a V or any other market watches, you don't watch them, and then the price goes up, and then you're whining. Of course, you're not putting
right.
in the time. It's like if you go to a YCS and you scrub out after 2 or 3 rounds, you can't be like, oh, this game sucks, and
Mm-hmm.
and these people, look, he's 3-0, and he sucks because of people like him. I'm not there. What? Like, what is
Yeah,
that?
that's
Like, you
weird.
know what I mean? That's on you. You didn't
Yep.
put in the time. You didn't put in the work. So
Or your deck just might be bad and you just
and then
stubborn.
that's also on you.
Yep.
Why you chose that deck? Why you have those ratios? Why you didn't practice in dueling book? Why you didn't do this? X, Y, and Z. Same thing for not just market watching, but anything in life. But you can
Yep.
apply those same concepts into market watching. If you're whining about a buyout, then be early. How do you be early? Watch your boy. Watch people that do it for a living, that do it every single day. People that watch charts, that do the research for you. And then if you don't, then you can't complain. You know what I mean? So that's like the mindset, but that's a con. Usually, like at least for me, just dealing in the space where you have that connotation, it's hard to grow. It's hard to grow because people already like, this and that. But I try and bring my positive energy, my personality, and hopefully that leads to bigger things. So that's like my mindset. Then a con, also, like if you're going to trading events and stuff, if you meet people like you, then it's hard to vend a backpack vendor, for example.
Right.
So it's kind of hard, dealing with each other and stuff sometimes, if they have cards you have and you want, but see it in that way. So really that's like the major cons that I see and things of that nature. But positives, the pros, to me, what I say to people that say, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh is not an investment, it's just a children's game, it's just a little kid's game, it's just my hobby, I don't care about price, I just need to get the cards. Cards are not free. That's always my
Yeah.
mindset. Everyone needs to pay for the cardboard that they get. One way, yeah, you can receive a free card from a sponsor or a friend or whatever. I'm talking about in general. The person that had the card card, you had to crack open some packs. You had to crack open the product, and the product ain't free. So if it ain't free, it has a cost, then it's an investment. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you either invest your time and or your money. So again, you have to keep it in mind. It is what it is. So if you're not playing with free cardboard, then it has a cost. It has value. If you need 3 Mitsurugi rituals and you could have bought them at $10, and now you're paying 3x for the same place that you could have had 6. Jay, why would I want 6? I just want 3 for me. No, you have an extra place set to lend to a friend, to sell, or to trade, or to do something with it. It's extra cardboard, and that's competitively. But maybe as a collector like me, I want a masterpiece from Stampede, quarter century. I want at least 3, right? So again, it's like $20 right now. So instead of buying now, if it goes down to 10, then I could get 2 for 1. That's like the mindset that there's always value in analyzing the markets, because cards ain't free. It isn't. So if it isn't free, you can either get more cardboard for the same money, or get what you need at a lower price. Perfect example is you, in the sense of Perulia, just using that example,
Right.
You caused that own buyout now. But again, now you have to, if you get
yeah.
the card, if you get the card right now, you're paying 2x. So it's not the same to pay.
And it's my fault for not picking it up. I was being lazy.
Right. So you can't be like, Jay, he's a scammer, he's a scalper. He talked about the card with Rogue Hero, by the way. But we got, in this case, like, they can't blame you or me. We were just highlighting. You highlighted the competitive aspect of it. I highlighted the market aspect of it, and we both agreed it's just a great time to buy. Does that mean that we're scamming people and we're scalpers? And no, that means that we highlighted the facts, and then it's their responsibility to watch, to make their own assessment based on that information, and either buy or hold off or make their own personal decisions. So again, that's what I choose to focus on, and that's the main positive. Cards ain't free. You're going to need them. You're going to need to spend money. Might as well save yourself some money or get more copies so that you can make that extra side money to get cards that you're going to need in the future as well. So that's like the main, the pro of staying on top of markets, and what I want the masses to understand. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely get you. So it seems like you're really big on like personal responsibility, which is something we're lacking nowadays. I feel like everyone wants to point the finger at someone else instead of looking at the man in the mirror, and that's the biggest issue with society as a whole. Not even just Yu-Gi-Oh, but everyone's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault.
Nah, that's what I've understood. I mean, again, and I've talked about it because at one point, like, a year and a half ago, I made a couple of podcast episodes, just 3, when I was early on. And, on those episodes, what I was focusing on is mental health and just mental aspect of life, so I listened to a lot of motivational speaking, which is cliche for many, to each their own.
I'm big on mental health too. I listen to a lot of people.
Yeah. So, me growing up and stuff, I said I'm an introvert, and I used to suffer, from anxiety, so it was hard to get in front of people, in front of a camera and stuff. And like, the only way that I was able to overcome, which is my favorite word in life, is overcome. So to overcome in my life anxiety, things of that nature, it was motivational speaking. And motivational speaking, the core of it is be accountable. Hold yourself, be accountable, man. If you missed a buyout, that's on you. If you scrubbed out round 3, that's on you. If you have a shitty job in life, that's on you. If you want to be a Yu-Gi tuber but you're not, that's on you. It's like, what if you're successful, that's on you. It's not just negative stuff. Like, whatever happens is on you and no one else. You can control your own destiny. That's the mindset. And again, I'm coming in late to the scene. Late to the scene. I only have 2 years doing this. So if I'm not at 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K yet, that's on me. I came in late. So what do I try and do to compensate? I record daily videos. Hopefully that helps. So again, it's just that mindset, like, if you want something, you got to find a way, and it's on you at the end of the day. If you miss a buyout, that's on you. If you go to a YCS and you don't make it, that's also on you. That means we need to get better. You need to put in more time. You know what I mean? So
people expect results without doing the work, and that shit pisses me off.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
So for example, like, I want to say this. Like, I know for a fact, like, everything that happens in everyone's life is not 100% on them to an extent. However, that's not really the point I think Jay's trying to make. This for people who may be listening, but you can only control the controllables. You can only control how you react to things, how you do things. Like, for example, let's say I'm walking down the street, get punched in the face, randomly get robbed, and I'm in a nice neighborhood. I mean, it's not my fault, but at the same damn time, it's how you react to it. It's how you gonna handle
attitude.
Exactly.
That you have towards things. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no,
So
no.
like,
Sometimes in
like,
life, like that's a great point you make. Like, and sorry to cut you off, but
are
it's
you
just
good? You
such a
good?
great point. Like, I mean, it's your approach, your perspective, your attitude towards thing. Instead of whining, complaining, change that attitude. Be more receptive to constructive
Exactly.
feedback. Yo, it's not just all positive. A role could be like, yo, I love your channel, Jay. This, that, and the third, but from my vantage point, X, Y, and Z, there's that in the third. That's great. That's constructive. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, he's right. And then we apply and then we move on. You know what I mean? But go ahead. Yeah, such a
No, you're
great
not.
point.
No, you're good. You ain't coming up. You're good. Like honestly, like that's just how I see things. Like I read a lot of self help books. Like one of my favorite ones is Start with Why. I don't know if you read that one. It was really good.
Mhm.
And also another one was Stop the Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's my favorite
Oh,
one.
that's
That's
cool.
a really good one. And the whole point of that book is just not learning not to give a fuck. And then
Yeah,
also I've personally read 48 Laws of Power as well. Just
yeah,
once,
yeah,
but that's a good you learn a lot in
yeah,
that book too.
yeah.
So
That's a great
I'm
book.
definitely with you on the male mental health because it's very important, honestly, man. Because I see it in a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, like they go through shit, which is why we invest so much time in Yu-Gi-Oh because it takes us away from our personal life and we put all that energy into Yu-Gi-Oh. But at the same time though, sometimes people have to fix their personal life too, like getting the help. Stop ignoring yourself. Stop ignoring your health. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. So again, I try and use my personal experiences to help others because I know, I mean, on the back end, a lot of people, I mean, there was people, a while back saying, yo, Jay, I want to kill my, like some random stuff, bro. I'm like, golly,
I've gotten that too. I've stopped
yeah,
you from you
yeah.
stopped me from committing,
Yeah,
like what
literally,
they say,
bro.
taking themselves out.
Yo, I mean, I don't know. You don't know the people you don't know. I mean, but when it happens multiple times, you start thinking like it might be true. Maybe there's a couple people out there that, in a way, and maybe that's the more drastic part of it, but maybe just people like, yo, I've had a terrible day. Your content made me smile and this and that and the third. And that's why I always say I want to positively impact people's lives. But mental health is so big and we go through it too. We're humans, you know what I mean? But at
Oh
least
yeah.
for me, motivational speaking is what helps me guys through. As cliche as it sounds, everyone has their own coping mechanism. It is what it is. As long as we try and move forward, we try to expand, grow, share a lot of positivity. That's always my mindset. You know what I mean? So I
Oh yeah,
agree
for
with what
sure.
you said. Yeah, for sure.
Now you use the term Billy Bob. For my audience that do not know, what is a Billy Bob? Let's explain that.
Yo, Billy. Yeah, Billy Bob's man is a term that it's an idea that I created, but there was a couple of members of the channel that they came up with the name and also like the description on the card because we sell those for the community. People love collecting those just for the funsies, but the core concept of Billy Bob is people that basically they sell low and buy high. There's people that a card costs $5 and you go to TCG Player and you go to the sales list and there was some random kid or random listing of someone buying a $5 card at 15. You know what I mean? So that's what we call Billy Bobs, and that's what we say convert Billy Bob's over to us, so people can learn, they can educate themselves and make better informed decisions with their hard-earned capital. Like we said earlier, just making sure that when you buy, you're either saving money or that you're getting extra cardboard that you can move in the future. So you don't want to be a Billy Bob. And again, you could apply this to life. You want to make sure
Yeah.
that you're when you make your decisions, you're informed, you're educated, and you want to avoid just wasting your money like that. Like if a card is $5 and you can come in, get 3 at 5, you spent 15, then you weren't that guy at 15 just getting 1, you got that extra 3. So that's like just the mindset that you want. And hey, we've all been Billy Bobs before. So
Oh yeah.
again, it's not like we're perfect. I always say it, I've Billy Bobbed into things as well. It is what it is, but we're talking about 90% of your moves, 80%, a high percentage. You want to make sure you avoid those so that you can conserve your purchasing power and then recycle it, so that's always our mindset on the channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are future goals for yourself, your channel? What are things you want to do overall with Yu-Gi-Oh, your YouTube, and things like that?
That's an amazing question. My personal goal personally has always been, again, like we just said, and it's a goal for a reason, just number wise. Like I just always wanted, when I first started 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I was like, wow, it'd be great one day to wake up and just have 10K subs. It'd be great one day to do a live stream and just have 100 people tuning in. It'd be great one day to have 100 plus likes on a video. So at first, those were the goals, and they still are until I achieve those. Of course, on the live stream for the last month, we've been cracking 100, so that's one goal. Likes been over 100, so I've been meeting my goals personally at a personal level. But that 10K, I'm like a horse. That's
Right.
why daily videos, again, that's personal. It's not that 10K is going to change my life It's not like, oh, I made 10K, I'm rich, I'm living off this and I'm set. No, that's not the point. It's just a personal goal, because by achieving that number, yeah, people attach to it. Oh, you're known in the community, and look, you're doing this and you're doing that's all good and well. But personally, I'm gonna show myself that I set a goal, a multiple year goal, that I could do it. That I could set myself a goal and accomplish it. And that's what I'm looking at. So, but my future goals post that is just to continue. Like, the main goal with all this is to positively impact people's lives, to see those comments of people. Jay, I made money thanks to you. I saved money thanks to you. Jay, I saw you in an event. You were so cool. We took a picture. You signed my card. We traded and we had a good time. Like, that's the whole point. That is positively impacting people's lives. People smiling, coming up to me, yo, this, yo, that energy. I feel like you pull people just like you to your community. In
Yeah.
your case, you pull positive people that want to compete, that want to get better, and then when you see them in person, you get that same energy. And
Right.
that's what I focus on here on the channel. So that's my future goal. And then second of all, not just necessarily personal, but a channel goal is to do more collaborations. So again, thanks to great people like Rogue and V, Team Sakurasu and Vengeful and whoever I'm missing, whatever people that I've collab with, just trying to expand now that growth, just bringing people on, like Rogue. I'm gonna use you for an example, which is perfectly like you made 100% sense when I reached out, and in a way you could be like, I don't do market watches. Like, yeah, that's all good and well. I focus on deck profile. I'm like, that's good, because my goal is to morph communities,
Right.
in the sense like, you can hop on my channel, you're not a market watcher, which is perfectly fine. There's a bunch of sub niches in Yu-Gi-Oh, like master duel and deck profiles and pack openings and market watch. That's all good and well, but I want to morph that. I want to be able to take a person that is competitive and bring in here to the markets. I want to take someone that maybe does master duel and it's like, yo, what do you do over there? Oh, those cards are hot, let's talk about them here in the markets. And then someone that does this and that and the third, and just coming together, showing that we could all collab. So that's a big future goal of mine, not just with bigger channels, because it could be easy. Oh yeah, of course you're gonna reach out to the House of Champs and the Team Samurai X and the this and that and the third. No, the whole point is I also do that with smaller channels. That's also because again, shout out to Vengeful and Saki, which was the one that put me on the map. That's my guy. Hopefully next week we'll have very nice Yu-Gi-Oh. Been talking
I
with
saw
him.
Saki last night. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah, Saki's amazing. Great dude. That's my guy.
Good
So again,
dude.
we're always, just collabing. It's not to me just about all numbers and stuff like that. No, if you're positively impacting people's lives, you're putting in the work. Come on, man. Let's do it. Bigger or smaller channel. I am a big believer in collaborations, because all of our communities benefit from that. And at the end of the day, we do this content to benefit the community, the Yu-Gi-Oh community. So, that's the mindset.
Do you see yourself owning a store one day? Like, is that something you want to do, or do you just want to stick to everything of being online?
No, yeah. So my dream, so that would be a question, like, what would be your dream? Not just a goal, but a dream with Yu-Gi-Oh. So my personal dream is to one day like travel the world. That's what I love about Yu-Gi-Oh. I love traveling, as most of us do, but I love how international Yu-Gi-Oh is. Like I told you, in a small island like the Dominican Republic, where my family comes from, they host Yu-Gi-Oh nationals. Like, to me, that is just mind-blowing in a great way. Like, you
Right.
can go to YCS Sydney and you're in Australia, you look up to the sky and it's like, damn, I'm really here for a Yu-Gi-Oh event. Like, that
Right.
happened to me in Cancun. I went to
Okay.
Cancun the last 2 years, and when I took the flight, I'm like, yo, this thing looks fire from the plane. I land, I'm like eating some tacos and stuff. I'm like, yo, am I really here for a Yu-Gi-Oh event? Like
Right.
that thing, that to me, like, is my dream to do it even more, because I've kept it, like here, but I would love to go to Euronats one day. I would love to go just around the world, wherever they play Yu-Gi-Oh, go to events and just absorb that, like apply traveling to Yu-Gi-Oh. That's my dream. And then, of course, if economically speaking, it makes sense. Also, I'd love to have obviously a store one day. Not just, but people say never have a store is harder than you think, and you don't get to play in it and stuff. No, but just if you have a channel, maybe because of the brand, YGO fresh off the press store in Orlando, for example, people know
Right.
and they could visit and stuff. Yeah, that'd also be a dream. Of course, just owning like a store attached to the brand. Not more like, oh, I have this store, like I need to live off it, and if I don't, sell
Right.
cards this month, I need to close down shop. No, nothing like that. It would have to make sense where the store would be self-sustainable, based on other incomes or whatever it is. But yeah, that's something, definitely a dream. Traveling the world and having my own, store one day based on the brand or something like that. I love to do those things one day down the line, if it makes sense
That's
for
what's up,
sure.
bro. Like I know the YouTuber Simply Unlucky did that, and that's pretty dope for him. I don't know if his store is still open, but
Right.
it looked pretty nice when it was opening during COVID. And yeah, honestly, that sounds pretty dope. Honestly,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think the opening stores are hard. There's a lot of videos online, like don't
Of
open a
course.
car
Yeah,
store
yeah,
because
for
of
sure.
tons of
Yeah,
different reasons. Like me
yeah, yeah.
personally, I think gaming cafes would be better than a car store. Like that's what I would personally do, like a gaming cafe where
I'd
they
want
sell
to
like
morph it. Actually, that's what
yeah,
I'd
like
want to do.
like
Like, I
something like
wouldn't just
different,
have like, oh, YGO fresh off the press. This is just a
right?
store for Yu-Gi-Oh. No, I would do gaming and computers and
Exactly.
Yu-Gi-Oh and
That's
like
where the money gonna
everything.
come from, honestly.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So we on the same page on that for sure. But it's
Kind of like
definitely something. It's not a goal right now. Like, yo, I need my store.
right.
No, but if down the line it's like, yo, the money's right. Yeah, I definitely get exposed to that for sure, bro.
Kind of like how the side deck does their events. I know they had their store, and I was talking to one of the workers there,
Yeah.
and their store is kind of like what I said. It's like a gaming cafe where they have the computers, they sell coffee, they sell food, so it's like a really chill spot. But they also hold card tournaments too.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. No, the potential is endless, man. So
yeah,
yeah, that's definitely, on my bucket list, dream wise, is to travel because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Continue to do so, and then eventually have a store down the line. That'd be super fun. So for sure.
that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So we get rounding up to our questions. What is the number one card you think people should pick up right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's Sky Crisis. I've been talking about it with you on our collabs and V as well. And just me myself, just focusing on Sky Crisis because I believe is underrated right now. The card, I specifically I would be going for the mid max, the secret rare. I just think it's a great time to get exposure for a staple, a card
Yeah,
that yeah, great, great. Yeah, as you can see there, it's $253. A card that was $30, man, just 2-3 weeks ago is down 10x. This is what we're talking about. If you miss a V-shaped recovery or a buyout from here, that's on you. That's the mindset, right? Because the card is
don't be a
cheap.
Billy Bob.
Don't be a Billy Bob. Let's go. So
Exactly.
again, we also talk about position of strength in the markets. And what that means is that you get exposure now. Let's say you have 3 decks and you need one for each deck. Just buy 3. Come in here with $10, get 3 or 4 of these, and then your decks have the card you need. Okay, that's a position of strength. If the card crashes down from there, you get more. If it goes up, then you already have your copies and you're a happy camper. So yeah, I mean, right now I'd be buying Sky Crisis left and right. That's what I'm doing. When I go to Providence, I'm gonna be just hunting for Sky Crisis because I love cards that are $2-3, and then you come back one day, they're 750s, they're 10s, and we gonna be eating good. So the game is that easy, man, for sure.
Oh hell yeah! And what is a car you think everyone should sell? Like they have it, just get rid of it because it's not gonna be worth value.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily that is not going to be worth value in a way, but I wanted to talk about the Mitsurugi ritual, in a way with that, it was 55s when we were last talking about it. It had a little bit of a retracement back down to 35s. So with cards like that, if you see a second leg up, back up to 40s and 50s, especially if you came in at 10s when we were talking about it for the ultras and then went up to 20s, I'm just telling people to
Look
pick
at
them
this
up.
one. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, no, yeah, we talked about that one, bro. Yeah, 150s, it was 70, so it's up 2x. So yeah, I mean, it's a card that if you're not playing, if you don't need the card like me, I have one of these. When I go to Providence, I'm gonna be moving, and not because the card can't go back up to 60s and 70s and go crazy, but it's all about entry price versus exit price. That's what we're always saying on the channel. I picked this up at 20s. If I see 40s, I'm gonna take the 2x and I'm gonna run for the hills, like we always say. So that's the mindset right now,
Oh hell yeah, bro.
for sure.
Hell yeah. So we're gonna right now do a little bit of open Q&A before we get up out of here. I
Of
won't take up
course.
too much of your time. If you guys have any questions for Jay or me, let me know right now. And then Jay, I'll leave you with the floor. Tell people why they should subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, for sure. It's YGO fresh off the press. Make sure you swing by. We do daily market watches. We're always, we say the market never sleeps. Why should we? There's always moves going on, always opportunities, to take advantage of, to be early, to be on time. And again, we just positively impact people's lives through our content. Monetarily, people love, being able to get either extra cardboard at cheaper or being able to flip cards and trade, cards for other cards that might be expensive that they need. That's the key too. If you buy some penny stonks and they go up in value and, maybe you need a card that is 30, 40, $50. If you bought, $5 cards and they become 5s or 10s, then, you can get up there. You know what I mean? You can get up there to the card that you need and that you're looking for. So $5 can become 10, 20s, 30s. So again, you want to take advantage of that. And that's what we do here at our market watches. So you definitely want to make sure you take advantage of that. Make sure you go there, show some love, subscribe, and we continue to grow. Thanks to great people like Rogue. We collab, man. It was super fun. So
Oh,
yeah, I
likewise,
look
bro.
forward to next
Likewise.
time for
Yeah,
sure.
subscribe to my boy YGO Fresh Off the Press. Great channel banner artwork. Did you do this artwork yourself or no?
Nah, this was like
This is
way
really
back,
good.
like
Real clean.
yeah, just like 2 years ago. Again, when you're starting, people like, yo, you want me to do your band? I'm like, sure, and then they did that, never changed it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Ain't no need. That's they did a good job. I had to do what $40 on what Fiverr.
yeah.
A little dude in Asia. So like, I
Yeah,
paid a
that's the
lot, but man,
thing. Like, I
you got
mean,
a
I
good
like
deal.
it because it shows the charts, it shows, the newspaper. We keep things fresh off the press. So, it communicates the channel vibes, which is all that matters. You know what I mean? So for sure.
All right. We got our first question here.
Sounds good.
Do you believe the word negate has horribly affected Yu-Gi-Oh in its core gameplay? What do you
Okay.
think, Jay?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's a great point, man. Because, like I said, I love Goat. I love Edison. I love older formats because I feel like, Time Wizard formats, it's just clean, classic Yu Gi Oh! You get to interact, you get to play back and forth. Not to say that modern Yu Gi Oh!, to each their own, but I'm just talking about you get that older feel of back and forth. You could take your time in your turns. You can set a card, normal, summon, pass. You don't feel like you're going to lose. Now in Yu Gi Oh!, like if you don't have that great first turn one, like you lose if you don't have a way to stop your opponent with the right hand trap. You just lose. I mean, decks are just that optimal. They're that great, that if you just give them a sliver of hope, of chance, if you don't ask the right card, if you don't do this, which of course takes skill, it is what it is, and if you want to compete, that's what it takes, and you must do what you must again. But the negate, like when we had Barone and Appaloosa, and we have cards like Albion, and we had the Calamity that got banned. Like when things are negated or you can't play, like I just think it's a bit toxic. It could get hectic in the sense where you sit down and you just don't have a fun experience. Of course, the mindset of the player doing it, which is fine, is legal. If the card's not banned, whatever, that you can't blame the player, blame the game in a way. But they're like, oh, you could do it too. Yeah, but it takes the fun away, man. Like the whole point is playing, is interaction, is the back and forth, is you do your stuff, I do my stuff. Who drew better? The luck. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! RNG, and we play with the cards we have and we interact. We have fun, the back and forth. Throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! History, there's been amazing duels, just back and forth, playing the card at the right time and great, amazing interactions. But when there's a lot of negates or a lot of you can't play, you can't do this, like broken cards, sometimes it just doesn't give you that good feeling. Even if you play, of course, if you do it to someone else, you feel good in the moment, but then the other player feels like, you know what I mean? Where in Edison
Right.
and Goat, you don't feel that. You don't feel like that. Just like, oh man, really, bro? Dark Ruler no more. There's my little sprites. Damn, I can't play. Okay, you win. No. So, that's like been my mindset, with regards to that. So,
As far as me, I think negates aren't bad. I think Omni negates personally came out way too early because I think right now it depends on the deck. So, for example, right, I'm playing Rizal, and I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh need block format. That's a whole other topic for another day. If you guys don't know what block format is, just literal set rotation. Like every year you play with different cards, and you can play with the old cards, and they have a
oh,
core
that's cool.
set with old cards in it. It's kind of like how Magic the Gathering Pokemon does it.
That's
That's
pretty
the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh has all these unbalanced issues because we have to power creep to keep the people to buy the new stuff. So I'm cool with negation cards personally.
okay.
I just don't like when a deck can spit out negation for nothing, like an omni negate for nothing.
Hmm.
Like I feel like a deck should have to work for an omni negate, but a general like a monster negate or a spell negate, depending on the format, I'm all for that because I feel like if you're playing with the decks for the current metagame that are good, even the good rogue decks, you're gonna have a good time. But when you're playing with shit decks like me, I used to play heroes a lot. The deck was decent. I can still win and go X1 at locals and maybe win a locals here and there. But I wasn't really doing that good because I'm playing an outdated archetype. And I used to feel some type of way about that as a competitive player. Like, man, I know I'm a good player, but I'm not playing a good deck. And as soon as I started, like, you know what, screw this. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of people thinking I'm a scrub because I'm playing this shit deck. And I can tell by the way people talk to me, they think I'm a scrub. I'm like, dude, you just don't know. Like, I do this shit. So I started playing meta decks again and I'm winning. Like, literally, I went to a case tournament last night. You guys will see the vlog tomorrow. 5-1 with Pure Rizal with the Shark
Ooh.
Engine, but Pure Rizal, a deck that everyone says is trash. And I'm whooping. I beat like two Mitsu Rizal decks. I beat all
Mm.
kind of shit. So it's kind of like I think negation cards in the right format is a good thing. I just don't like Omni negates like decks that can spit out an Omni negate with no effort. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, that's a great take. I mean, you can't go against that.
All right, next question here. I think we got a few of them that came in. We're gonna answer like two more super chat, get priority, of course. Let's see if I can find another one. Real MTG Wizard. He said, "How do you feel about hand traps? Good or bad for the metal?" What do you think about Jay? I know you don't play competitively that much, but
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
about
yeah.
answer this from like the market standpoint, like hand traps in the market? Like, how does that affect the market watches? Like hand traps.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, associated to the markets, I think hand traps are staples. So it's great to be exposed to them. We were just talking about Ghost Bell and DD Crow and our
Right.
collab, so I'm gonna use those two for example. You want to be ready if a format is, these hand traps cycle in and out. Drill wasn't being used that much a format or two ago, and now everyone's running drills. The same with crows. Oh, we already have a Biz Dweller. We don't need DD Crow's bells now. A Biz Dweller's banned now. Oh, we need Ghost Bells. We need crows. So again, I love from the market vantage point. I love hand traps. I love getting exposure to them, especially with these rarity collection reprints. They're amazing. Being able to get clean, cheap versions, holographic versions, I believe is a great time to get exposure, especially to those two. So I love it. From the market standpoint, they're always high in demand. They're staples. People always want them. So if you can get your hands on them, especially the higher rarities, if they make sense, I believe it's great to pick hand traps up. Again, Dro, Ghost Bell, and even Ashes, for example, now with Stampede, Feed Ash, great card to be picking up right now.
Yeah, and as far as me, I love hand traps, man. I think honestly the game had to evolve from just set one pass, set two pass. Like I think it's good to still have those decks like Labyrinth
Mm.
and decks that can play face down cards like Blue Eyes even. However, I think it's just a natural progression of the game. If we still all played the same game we played 20 years ago, even though there's a niche of people like that like GOAT format, that like Edison, you'll get bored of it. But I even say this.
That's true.
Go form. People got bored of Go format, which is why Edison exists. Because I remember when Go format first came out, everyone was on Go format. No one wanted to play different format. It was either modern or Go. Now people
Literally.
did Edison. Now people are starting to get bored of Edison, and players are going back to the redo format, whatever that stuff, the redo format, the 2012 format. So I think naturally people get bored of certain formats and they want to play what they want to play. And we just got a gift membership from Peak Apocalypse. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. The perfect gift. I didn't even know we have people watching
Yo,
somebody on,
Cody.
on, on Twitch. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. The guy that won the membership, he won it on mine too last
Oh,
live stream.
nice.
That's funny. So Cody gave it to him too. Like it's all random, I suppose, but it's funny, man.
Oh,
He's a
that's
member
what's
now of
up.
both channels. So congrats to the wife who
Thank-
gave her. And I'm gonna
Hell
see him in
yeah.
Rhode Island. He's like, Jay, I'm gonna come up to you. So that's gonna be funny. Look forward to that for sure.
And then we'll ask one more question when we're going to get up out of
Sure.
here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So, how many years do you think the Yuga card game has left? The player base average age is getting older.
Damn, that's a
I'll let you
great
do that one,
question.
Jay.
Ooh, now we got at least 40, 50 on us, 40, 50, a
Yeah.
couple of decades. Now, the thing is, we are getting older, but what I love about Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, maybe to compete at the highest of levels, the more you age, then, certain reflexes in the sense, not physical, but mental, like
I
being
noticed it already. Trust me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To be able to stick through multi-day events, keep the stamina, and stay on point and be mentally, to be able to compete round 10, round 11, round 12 into Swiss and all that, and like just being mentally sharp. As you grow older competitively, it's gonna get rough on those people. But there's, even though there's not kids for the most part, there's still young people, in their teens and in their 20s that are still, coming back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or big brothers have little brothers, they're pulling them in and things of that nature. But I mean, I still us, even as we grow older, we're always gonna love collecting, especially market watch was like, me, we're always gonna, our niche is there. People are gonna always be buying and selling. So I think that's something that ages very, very well. But again, I think we still got a good amount of time, man. It's again, if we're in our 30s now, 10 years from now, we're gonna still be here, exposed to this. We're gonna still be doing what we love, even if it's at a different level, be it a bigger level or less. Some people quit, some people take breaks, but it doesn't matter. We're still gonna be exposed to the game that we love, even as we age. So I still think we got a couple of decades in us. They just got to fix pricing. I think they're
Yeah.
gonna have to get to it at one point. They can't, they can't keep biting that bullet and just ignoring that. But once they do that, I think the game is gonna, get back to being in a good state. And I think we got plenty of great, great years to come.
Oh, I 100% agree, man. Which is why I don't want to quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I feel like as soon as I quit, that's when things are gonna get better. I personally feel like like you said, we got decades left. Even though we're all getting older, I think the game's gonna evolve, and I think the times are evolving, and people like us, we're gonna be prominent figures in the commentary side of things. Like obviously I'm probably not gonna be playing competitively until I'm like 60 and 50. Maybe I'll probably do it for fun.
Yeah.
Like one of my older subscribers, rest in peace to him, because I found that he passed away earlier this year. I
Oh,
met him in an event, real cool dude, man. And yeah, he was still playing in his 60s. So it's kind of like I
wow.
personally wouldn't mind playing when I'm older. But as far as like doing a super grind and getting,
Yeah,
pissy with
yeah,
rulings,
yeah.
yeah, here and there. But I think it's good for your mental health though, because the older you get, your mental starts declining and things start declining. So when you're doing strategy games, it keeps you sharp. You might not be as sharp as it was in your 20s, but you'll be ahead of people
Your
mentally
age. Yeah, like
your
your age.
age.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I used to go to Gen Con a lot. So when I used to play Naruto, during my Naruto pro days, I guess. And me and my team used to go to events. We used to go to Gen Con every year, which is the national. I don't know if you know what Gen Con. It's a
Yeah,
gaming convention. People
that's pretty cool.
cosplay, and most of the people in Gen Con was all in their 30s, 40s, 50s, doing Dungeons and Dragons,
Yo,
board
that's crazy.
games. It was a vibe. So I think honestly, I think I can see us older Yu-Gi-Oh players doing stuff like that, going to the events. We're gonna have our fun. I think it's gonna be like Pokemon and Magic, where you have your adult league and you're gonna have your younger league. So I see it being like that. Maybe senior citizen league one day. The old man playing like
Senior citizens, yes.
the grandpa league. That'll be hilarious. But honestly, I think we have a few years left. Well, not a few years, but I think we have a long time left with the game. I think the game will evolve, and like I think Konami's probably waiting to give us cash prizing as their last ditch. That's like their hail mary, like to get everyone back into the game. All right, we're gonna do cash prizing. First place, YCS Rhode Island, 50K.
Ooh,
Oh man,
man. Yo,
y'all think y'all
Rogan's like, I ain't going, but after that announcement, I booked my flight.
shit on a flight, yeah, and the market's gonna go up. Fualo's $100,
Man.
Perula's $100. We all eating. Jay like, man, hey wife, we going to get steak tonight, baby.
Yep, we going, man. I got you. Yo. Oh man, love
All
it. Yeah,
right,
thanks to Rogue for talking about that card. That's gonna be, wifey. Thank you, man. That Rogue guide, he said about Peru is like, listen, he's the market guy.
hell yeah. All right, Jay. Any final thoughts, man? Anything you want to get off your chest before we end the stream?
Before that, let's do a bonus one, man. We feeling good today.
Okay,
Let's do a
for
bonus
sure.
question. If you got one more, and then we out of here. Sounds
All
good.
right, for sure. So let's see. The
Yeah,
bonus
yeah.
questions. Let me know. Let's see. This is a funny one. Soon are we gonna get a Billy Bob token?
Yeah, Grandpa Billy Bob. Yo,
Oh
that'd be
man,
fire, man.
the
That'd
Billy
be
Bob
fire. Yeah,
verse.
people asking, get quarter centuries, Jay, and get this and that. So, that we'll expand on that in the future. But I love it,
Bro, you should
man.
do
Billy
Billy
Bob
Bob
is
deck
great.
boxes.
Yo, no, accessories. Yeah, I just need the hooker. I don't know who to contact or who to,
Me neither, bro.
yeah. So it's like something that I just go with the flow and grow into things. So yeah, we need to have Billy Bob accessories and t-shirts and stuff like that. We're gonna expand on this in the future for sure. So yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, any more questions? See if I can find another one.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
see.
Yeah, I think there's one there. Do you think Master Duel players can do well in real life?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go to that one. We'll answer that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great
Yeah,
question.
I didn't even see that one.
Uh,
So, do you think Master Pay can do well in IRL like high rank players? What you think, Jay?
Yeah, I mean personally, I don't play Master Duel. I tried it when it first came out. And I don't know, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I like more simulators like EDO Pro and the other new one that people are on right now. You Love Dueling Book. I hate it, but it's very, very good. Like V said, he hated it. He's on there. He's gotten better. So if you're into the competitive scene, you have to be on there and have a high rank like Rogue. Be a master dueling booker. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I think hey, if you get good at it and you become good at understanding the interactions of the cards that you're playing with in Master Duel, a lot of people love the convenience, being able to the portability, just having on your phone and being able to play and things of that nature. So I think it can translate. Of course, I think there's more of a casual community in Master Duel. Like, oh, I still want to be connected to Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not really following the modern scene or the competitive scene or the markets or none of that. But I love Yu-Gi-Oh. Let me just play here and get the cards and be exposed to this. So it's more like a casual community. But yeah, I mean, Master Duel, if you're really into it, it's just another tool that you're using to get better, and to translate that into real life. So
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. I think honestly, just from playing other card games, I played multiple card games in my life. Like I started with Yu-Gi-Oh, then I dabbled into like well, I was a big into Naruto. That was me and my that's why I got a lot of my card game skill from playing
that's
Naruto.
crazy.
And then different games like I played Inuyasha before, like a long time ago. I played Yu Hakusho. So I've been around different card games, Pokemon, things like that.
Okay.
And skills transfer, honestly, skills transfer. I could definitely say me playing Yu-Gi-Oh from a kid, getting into Naruto gave me and my entire Naruto team an advantage over Naruto players because we came into the
Mm.
game with a Yu-Gi-Oh mindset, figuring out what the best decks was. I've always been a rogue player, so I came in trying to make my own thing, and we took those skills and dude, literally half of our team was top 8 at damn near every event we went to, with the
Wow.
exception of one in California. That was like a different trip, but that's a whole trip in itself. But for the most part, most of the time we went to events, half of us was in the top 8, and that just went to constant play testing, grinding out things like that. So when it comes to Master Duel specifically, to be good at anything, you got to put the work in. It goes all go back to the work, like we said that earlier in the podcast. If you're good at Master Duel, if you're good at Dueling Book, you'll be good IRL. Because some Master Duel players are regular pro. I think a few pros went to Master Duel and did really good.
Mm.
I think Billy Breck was doing Master Duel at one point, was doing pretty good. So
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
honestly, if you're good online, you're gonna be good IRL. The only difference is you don't really get that IRL anxiety.
Yeah,
You
yeah, the
see the person face
emotions.
to face, the
Yeah.
emotions kick in. That it hits different. Like I give you an example. Like yesterday, I was playing, and I'm playing with my boy. I know he's a good Blue Eyes player. He beat me game 1. He played it perfectly. I played it perfectly. He just had a better hand than me. Game 2, I could have won. All I had to do was didn't even go. I didn't even have to summon anymore. All I had to do was attack for game with the 2 monsters I had on board because he had a Typhon. But me not thinking, maybe it was late, but I wasn't even tired. I started playing, comboing, played into a Nibiru like an idiot. I didn't have to. All I had to do was just attack for game. That's all I had to do. I didn't do it though. Why? I had a brain fart. So it's like little things like that you won't learn from Master Duel because I'm in person. I know my point is good. You got the background noise, everyone's talking, it's distracting you. But when you're playing Master Duel, you can be in the comfort of your own home, get your coffee right here to the side,
Mm,
you got your
mm.
music playing, your girl twerking in front of you for moral support. So you got
Yeah.
all kind of stuff that's like more relaxing. But when you're in a competitive tournament, you're hearing things. So that's just a small thing you won't get. But I think the skills do transfer over really well.
Yeah, I mean that was a great assessment, man. But I need to ask you one last
Yeah.
question from
Yeah, go
me to
ahead.
you about the Naruto experience.
Yeah.
Like how was that? How far top you guys went? What was your run through the Naruto scene, and then at the end, why did it end? Just briefly,
Yeah, for sure. So I did a
like
video.
yeah,
Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I did a video on it, and I ain't mean to cut you off, bro. I did a
No.
video on it a while ago, and essentially, so I
Mm.
got into Naruto back in 2006.
Okay.
My buddies were back, they bought packs from like Toys R Us. I went and bought me a pack.
Okay.
Started playing with
Cool.
my buddies. That led us to going and finding Naruto locals. I went to my first Naruto equivalent of a YCS in 2008. I didn't even go to prom. It was the same weekend as prom. I'm like, fuck prom. I don't have a date anyway. I don't care. I'm gonna go play this card game. That's how dedicated I was to being a card game player. Call me a loser. I don't give a shit. I
Right.
still had
Right.
hoes, so I didn't care. So I went to play cards. Made top 8 my first event,
That's
and
insane.
then my other buddies made top 8 as well. Like half of us made top 8, and then we went to nationals the same year. I never topped nationals. That was my
Okay.
only. That's my only personal gripe. I never topped the Naruto nationals, which sucks. I always went like X2, and when Naruto X2 is never topped because
That's
our big
insane.
events for us, it was like a couple hundred people for nationals.
Right. Right. It's not like
The
thousands. They
YCS,
get yeah.
yeah, the YCS was like 30 to 50 people. So it was
Right.
a
Right.
smaller because this is
Right.
early 2010s. We didn't have
Right.
social media
Right. Right.
promoting the game like that. So, but yeah, a lot of my buddies got like they topped every event. I was the highest ranked player in the Midwest in 2009 because I won a tournament by default from a Florida player actually. So it was a tournament at Origins Game Fair. It was the Cloud Kage tournament. That's like Naruto's equivalent of a national tournament, which is the Kage tournaments. Because our nationals, which is called Naruto Nationals, was our equivalent of Worlds because the game wasn't a
Mm.
worldwide game. It was like just a
Right. Right.
the
Right.
biggest
Right.
event of the year was nationals, and that was it.
Right. I
The
feel you.
pricing was sick for that too. So the Kage events was more like the actual regional national event. So I pretty much went to the Kage event, beat both my buddies in top 8, which was fucking hilarious. Beat both my teammates. Got to with a deck I told my buddy to build. He didn't want to build it. He didn't listen to my idea. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna build that shit. I built the shit. It was broken. I topped with it. Played against a Florida player. I didn't have a good side deck. So the Florida guy, I beat him game 1. I'm like, oh my god, I'm finna fucking win this event. He beat me game 2 and 3. I was pissed.
I could imagine.
But it was funny because The guy was like, "We even though you won, since you're not from this region, you weren't even supposed to be in this event." So
Oh,
he won by he's the winner by default, but you still get prizing over him.
no
So
way.
I got the bigger prizing though,
That's insane that
and I
works
guess
like that.
that's how it was. So it's kind of like the Kage events was meant for us to be because we're all the way they did Naruto. Every part of the U.S. was different regions like had a show. So the Midwest was the Cloud Village, California, the West Coast was the Leaf Village, and so on and so forth.
Right, right, right.
So since we had a guy from Florida come down, he was outside of our region.
Makes
Even though he
sense.
technically won the event, he wasn't the event winner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
get
they
like the
still gave him
premise
a
of it.
solidly good prizing.
What was the pricing? Like, what was
I, I forgot what his pricing. I think his
No, no, I
pricing
mean
was
for you, if you got
for
the best
me.
pricing, yeah.
I got a paid hotel to nationals.
Ooh,
I
man.
got iPod back when the
Yeah, back
iPod the
then. Yeah, 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 yeah,
touchscreen.
yeah.
It's
Ooh,
2009, so touchscreen
okay,
iPod. I
okay.
got boxes from the new set, and
Yeah,
I got sexy Jutsu playmat. It was like Naruto in his sexy Jutsu form.
yeah.
That back then it was going for like 50 to 60 bucks to 100 bucks. Nowadays it's probably a couple $100, maybe more. So I got a lot of good prizing for that event. But the paid hotel, travel accommodations, the iPad, that was dope. It was a good pricing, bro. So it was
Yeah, I
real
know back
fun.
then.
And we didn't get trophies, but we got they gave us pens. So they gave us I got a Kage pen. I lost it though. I'm so fucking mad.
Oh,
So I actually lost all my little tournament pins, but I ended up buying a couple of them online from people who I knew in the community who was selling them. I just need to find a Kage one, but they're so rare and nobody knows what it is. It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah, they
like
don't know. Yeah.
it's like if you have to know people who have them,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
there's
Like
only so
from
many
the
in
community.
circulation.
Yeah, it makes sense because of from so back then, you know. But then
Yeah.
how did it end? What happened?
Oh yeah. So just honestly, just Bandai once they did set rotation, which is block format, we had
Mm,
a lot of players quit the game. So both of our
mm,
player base quit when they did block format.
I get it.
But what helped us grow a little bit in like 2010 to 2011 is when Yu-Gi-Oh had that lawsuit with Upper Deck. So we got a lot of new players coming in, but since we started doing set rotation, we lost a lot of players. And then
It never panned out. Like it never.
it never panned out the way they wanted it to. And then with social media and lack of promotion of the game from Bandai, it just died out in
So
2011.
Bandai
So
was the ones that like. So what do you think? How about One Piece? Right now Bandai running that is brand new. One Piece has the the like the anime, and then a lot of people love that community and the cards and stuff. You think Bandai, with Masters, Dragon Ball Super Masters, whatever it is, a lot of people quit that too. And do you think Bandai is a good company? That with currently now with like One Piece and new card games and stuff like that, messing up like Naruto and things like that in the past. They learned their lessons? What do you think about that?
I don't play One Piece. My son is a big One Piece fanatic. I would
Okay,
definitely say they look like they're doing better.
okay,
Only time will tell. The only thing is, like, I've been burned by Bandai games because they had a Dragon Ball Z card game that
yeah,
used the
yeah,
same mechanic as the Naruto card game, and it was pretty fun as well. I liked it, but it was like a more powered down version of Naruto.
yeah,
But I liked it though. So, but they fumbled that game too. So Bandai has a history of fumbling games just with poor
yeah,
management. And the
yeah.
crazy part is, me and my team, we were so connected with Bandai. Like we knew all the tournament organizers.
That's
We used to
crazy.
work their booths. Like I judged for their booths a few times.
No way.
I met the owner. I don't know if you know this card game called what's that shit called? It was Battle Spirits. So
I've
when
never heard of
Bandai,
it. Uh-huh.
you never heard of it?
No, no.
It came back recently, but I don't
Okay,
think it's that popular.
okay.
I met the owner of Battle Spirits who actually used to work for Magic. So he was pretty cool. So it was a good opportunity for me. I met a lot of people. Me and my team was really plugged with Bandai Company. We knew people who actually worked
That's
on the
great.
game. So it was pretty. They sponsored our YouTube channel. They used to give us sneak peeks
Yo,
of cards for the new set.
no way.
So
That's
and
fun, man. That's
the
cool.
one thing I liked about the game for Naruto, when you win, I guess the worlds, even though it was technically nationals, but it's
Right,
really
right,
worlds.
right, right.
You get to create your own card. That was my
No
favorite part about the
way,
game.
Billy
Yeah.
Bob. Yo, I would create that so quick, man. Nah,
But the thing
nah.
about it was that if it was
Nah.
too broken, they will have you redo it and water it down a little
Right,
bit.
right, right. Makes sense. That's
So
fire, bro. That's so
yeah,
cool. That's so cool.
it
They
was
should
that
do that
was
in Yu-Gi-Oh. They should do that.
I suggested it, but people were like, oh no, it's too broken. But not really, man. If you have an
Just
R and
water it
D,
down. You have people, a team that they create cards already. Just sit with them and make it happen. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
So I think
That's
Bandai,
crazy. Yeah. So what do you
they
think? One Piece, the modern version of
I think they're doing
Naruto and
good.
stuff.
I think they're doing good. I do One Piece players get trophies if they win the event?
I'm not even sure, but I'm just talking about like longevity. You think, Bandai's gonna mess it up at one point and your son is gonna have to come back to you?
Well, he doesn't play. He doesn't play the
No,
game.
no, I'm
He
messing
loves
with you. Yeah,
so.
yeah. No,
But no,
no,
I
no,
think
yeah.
honestly, I don't know. I think I see the community. The One Piece
Okay,
community seems satisfied.
good.
They
That's all
did
that
set
matters.
rotation, and that pissed a lot of people off. So I'm
Ooh.
seeing a
So
similar
there's yeah,
pattern of
like
Naruto where
oh
people was hyped for
man.
the game, and then now it's kind of like people are like, I don't know, we ain't feeling the set rotation shit. Even though
Oh
set
man.
rotation is really good for the game. I'm a big advocate of set rotation because when you don't have set rotation, you have shit like Yu-Gi-Oh with infinite power creep, and it's kind of like you have to make more power creep to keep the game to keep
Yeah,
players to buy the new product. They
yeah.
if Konami don't sell, if Bandai don't sell, they won't make money.
Right, right, right.
And plus,
Yeah.
it freshens things up. But I think honestly, if I was to take a wild guess, I think maybe in 2 3 years, that's gonna if it lasts, it has to last another couple more years.
Yeah,
But
no, I mean that's so impressive that Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, that's the thing. A lot of people, move on from maybe take breaks, quit like we always say, or maybe move on to another game. But just the longevity aspect, like if you last 20, 25, whatever years, like here, like around like that, that has something to say in itself. It means that you were doing something right for multiple decades. Something always new is fresh, it always attracts attention. But at the end of the day, it's hard to keep longevity going for certain games. Of course, they're always going to have their niche core communities, but we're talking about at scale, where you get to compete with, the Yu-Gi-Ohs and the Pokemons and things of that nature. So we'll see how it pans out. Just
nah,
wanted to hear your story about Naruto and stuff. So that's pretty
no, you're
cool.
good, man. I was gonna say too. I think the biggest card game that's threatening is Lorcana,
Mm.
and they're kind of like fumbling right now because they
Yeah, yeah,
apparently
yeah,
they don't
yeah,
have any big events going on. But that
yeah.
game has so much hype behind it, and it's easy to learn. And they have a big community. The Disney community is huge, bigger than everything. So
But that just shows how even so, like it's hard when you hear fumbling and stuff. Like it's just when you last so long, it shows, man. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, whatever. When
yeah,
you've been here multiple decades, that means even
it's
people
for a
playing the
reason.
new games, they've already played these games or at least one of them, and they can always go back. You know what I mean? So I mean that's the mindset. But we'll see how things pan out in
Oh
the
yeah, for
future.
sure, bro.
Yeah.
All right, man. It was fun having you on, man. Glad you came by, and hope we could do this again in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Again, thanks for having me on, man. Always a pleasure. Look forward to our, next collab whenever that is. Always a pleasure, guys.
You
Thanks for
guys make
having
sure to
me on.
subscribe to my boy. He has good content. He just dropped D's Quarter Century Stampede cards are crashing. I gotta open my box later on my channel, so be able to look out for that. But yeah, man, he has good content. Subscribe to my boy. He's almost at 10K subs. Help him to get to 10K subs. Help him. He's doing really good. I mean, you really are, bro. Like you're doing for your channel size to get these numbers, bro. Like you're doing really good. That's why you're growing at your rate. You're growing, and you're gonna do successful, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. The feedback means a lot, for someone who's been around the block for so long. You guys are pillars of the community. And it's always just a pleasure to be able to interact with you guys. And, I can't wait for next time, man. Thanks for having me on, brother. It means a
All right,
lot.
bro. Well, all right, guys. This is Rogue and Fresh Out the Press, and we're out, man. Peace.
Peace.